Hi guys, just really pumped, excited, fucking in at the deep end here. This is me launching my New Earth Kings podcast. Very much myself personally. I'm going from, was it fire ready aim style? Am I just it'll it'll take shape as it goes along. Episode one, two, three. We'll constantly optimize from here. However, just jumping in this morning with an incredible first guest. It's actually pretty much the only guest I wanted to have to start off this experience for me personally. It's a really just a wonderful friend of mine, met in the last year through jiu-jitsu, and his name is Colm Curley. Definitely, if anybody is listening in from the community of jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu in Ireland, you definitely will have come across the name Colm Curley at this point. Um, Colm has why I'm bringing Colm on, like, part of New Earth Kings for me is finding and connecting in with guys who I see as men worth emulating, and definitely Colm is in this category for me. Um, Colm's Colm's launch onto the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scene has been pretty spectacular. The rate of growth, the rate of success he's had within the competitive field has been pretty sensational. Crowned national champion in gi in his weight category in his first year, rapidly becoming a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, and within a couple of months of being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, winning the national championships in, I believe it was no gi in his weight category. Went on to represent Ireland at the European Championships earlier on this year. It was within the initial white belt category. Had a fantastic experience there. Won his first round. The second round, unfortunately, just pipped by an advantage, which was a highly dubious decision from a highly biased friend. But a wonderful introduction into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and an incredible presence. So, Colm Curley, you're very welcome on this morning.
Oh my God, thanks so much, Mark. That's a fantastic introduction. That's yeah, I wish I had written that down while you were saying it there, because that's how I want to be introduced from now on.
I think
And I'm just kidding. That's pretty much the resume. Yeah, spot on, man. Really
cool.
good.
No,
Delighted to be on.
well, look, it is very welcome. And first of all, I just for people listening in afterwards, I just want to acknowledge the length and efforts you've went this morning to actually get your ass to a Wi-Fi worthy of the call around
Oh God.
Carrick. And I'm also just want to acknowledge and just point out that if the heat levels of Colm's face just tend to rise, it's not because of the pressure of the interview. It's that he has had to shift his body around in a car around Carrick and Shannon to find Wi-Fi, and with Irish sunshine, I just hope the car isn't getting too hot at some point. But
If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Yeah.
it might just be the perfect
So
scenario for you,
um,
sir.
yeah,
Colin,
I'm good. Thanks. I appreciate that.
brilliant. Colin, jumping straight in, what my fascination with you began immediately when we met first on the mats. You just sort of started jiu-jitsu at Longford first as just as a guest, as one of the regular members, and I just remember just being annihilated in roles by you, and like in 5 minutes I think I had you. In the first couple of weeks, it was just like this mass tsunami of intensity. And hearing your story, what got me passionately curious about you, about your persona, about your achievements in the beginning, was hearing you were in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for such a short period of time, and yet you were already Irish national champion. At the time, you were told me night one that you were going on to the European Championships, and it just really got me so curious to know more about you and like just that journey. Can you bring us back, Colm, and just describe your initial steps into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, how you found it, how you came to it as a person, and just sort of let's take it from there.
Yeah, well, I suppose I've talked about this before. So like when I initially wanted to start jiu-jitsu, I was just kind of putting out the feelers, and I was sending emails to clubs, and I had obviously, the UFC had become really big in Ireland, and that was Conor McGregor had exploded, and there was all this sort of stuff. And obviously that's MMA, but the jiu-jitsu is a big part of MMA, and I was like, yeah, I'd really like to give this a shot. This grappling part of it looks like it's fun, looks like something that I'd like to do. And I never quite got around to starting when I initially wanted to. And then I went through some personal stuff in my life where I ended up having a lot more time on my hands. And I was like, okay, here's the moment where I'm gonna just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So having done a little bit of investigation, I was living in Harold's Cross, so I had kind of checked local clubs around the area, and SBG D24 Paddy Houlihan popped up when I was looking in the search. And obviously, for anyone that knows Paddy Houlihan, he's just an amazing character. I won't go too much into it, but he's an amazing character, an amazing man. He had been in the UFC, such success, worldwide, locally, everything. So I was like, oh, that sounds like the place for me. So I popped them onto Facebook, sent a messenger down saying, look, I'd love to come down. And yeah, they were like, yeah, brilliant, come on down. And I was like, okay. So hopped on the motorbike, literally the same day, hopped on the motorbike, drove down to the gym, and I pulled into the gym on the bike, and I drove into the gym, and I just turned around and drove back out. I never got off the motorbike, never actually physically stopped the motorbike, just drove back out.
What happened
And then
what happened in that moment?
I literally, like, the only way to put it is I just bricked it. I was just like, I'm not real. I shot myself. I was like, no, I can't do this. And I drove back out, and there's a big long road coming through the industrial estate towards the gym. And I drove back up that road, and I got to the top of the road, and there's a set of traffic lights, and you have to wait those traffic lights for ages, for anyone who knows.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was at traffic lights, I turned around and I drove back down. Drove back into the car park, turned around and drove back out again. I swear to God, when I say I've done this 2 or 3 times, I'm not even lying to you. Like, I literally was in that car park 2 or 3 times without having even stopped the motion of the motorbike. Like, literally just driving. And people were probably looking at me going, who the hell is this lunatic in here doing, like, circles in the car park? So eventually I just went, like, because I had just gone through this thing in my life where I kind of got more time, and it was a big change. I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to jump into this. And I got off the bike, and I was standing outside for, I'd say, 5-10 minutes, helmet in the hand, bag over the shoulder, didn't know what to expect. I was actually terrified. I was terrified of going in. I was like, I'm going to go in here. There's going to be giants. They're going to have muscles coming out of their heads. They're all going to be meatheads. Nobody's going to like me. I'm tiny. I'm this small dude. What the hell am I doing here? But then I walked in. And, like, to literally say, when my foot crossed the threshold of the front door, everything changed. I walked in, and I just felt at ease. I don't know how to explain it. I don't ever have the words for why I felt like that, but I just felt at ease. I walked through the second door, which is into the main reception area, and there was a dude standing behind the counter named Nate Enright. Now I know his name after training him for quite a while. And big, for anyone who knows Nate, he's got this big, huge smile. He's like big, happy character. Like, but also, like, he's an absolute assassin. Do you know what I mean?
That's why he has that big smile.
Yeah, and he's he's a quite an athletic looking dude. Like, if it wasn't for the smile, you might be intimidated.
Yeah.
But I saw this smile, and he just looked at me, and I was like, didn't really know what to say. He's like, hey man, come on over. And I was like, instantly felt at ease. I felt at home. I felt like I was in my living room straight away. He came around the counter, shook my hand. I was like, I'm Colm. And he's like, come on, sit down. And he started talking me through the timetable, what they do there, everything like that. So basically, after we went through all that, he talked to me for 15 minutes. I pulled my wallet out straight away. I was like, take my money. I need to be here. And then I need to be here. And I started doing the classes. I think that was on like a Friday, and I came back on the Monday for, like, my first class. I went in to do my first class. It was upstairs, got changed in the change room. Absolutely terrified. Still felt at ease, but terrified of what the experience of what was going to be like on in the actual session.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt at ease in the building. I knew that everyone was, like, really friendly, but I was still terrified of what was going to happen. Because, I just, like, it's an MMA gym. It's SBG. It's Paddy Houlihan. It's everything's really, like, big. And I was like, okay. So we go in, and the class starts. We're all on the mats, and it's just like you start doing this warm up. You go through all these little drills and stuff like that, and you start feeling more and more at ease. Like your personal space is completely being taken away from you for anyone who does
Mm.
jiu-jitsu. You're like, there's just, how to describe it? It's like your personal space is being invaded. But it came to the end of the class, and for anyone who knows me, I would always have considered myself like hard and tough. I'm from Ballybrack, Ooh, I'm cool, I'm Colm Curley. Not having actually like any reason to think that, but that's what I thought. I was like, oh,
Mm.
I'll be okay. And the coach turns around and goes, right, guys, for anyone who wants to, we're gonna do some light rolls. That's sparring in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll do it. I'll be okay. I'm tough. I lift weights. I'm deadly.
Mm.
So I clap hands. I still remember this moment very, very, very clearly. It's a moment that I have not ever, like, there's lots of things in jiu-jitsu that I remember and lots of things that I'm sure I've forgotten. But this moment is crystal clear. I clap hands with this guy. His name's Paul Stars. And literally, he just like treats me like a baby. Like, I handles me in a way, and he's unassuming, like he's not at the time, like he doesn't look like this guy that's gonna kill you. He looks like just a regular dude, He had long hair and a ponytail, I was like, I'll be all right here. Like this, say he head and arm choked me about 6 times in 5 minutes. Like, and I'm struggling for my life, sinking, nothing I can do, no matter how much effort I put into it. It's like I'm just dying, and I just keep on tapping, 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 tapping. And then I remember vividly the rounds being over and walking into the change room and just thinking to myself, I was like, there's two things that could happen here.
Mm.
There's one thing is like, I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to do that again, because that was horrible. I literally just got destroyed. I didn't, and not destroyed as in he was being mean. It was like, it was so nice, but
Mhm.
it's hard to explain, in a nice, in a really weird way, But I was like, I'm either never going to do that again, or I need to learn how to do that.
Mm.
And I just decided the second part, I need to learn how to do that. And that was it, man. I was in, all in, all
Mm.
in from there. And it never really changed for me. Never changed.
Colin,
So that
looking
was
back,
literally my first day.
wonderful. Looking back now with with obviously the power of retrospect, like what happened that tough kid from Ballybrack, that persona, that sort of, I've got my, like you were bodybuilding, you were fit, you were hardy, like you were up for the challenge. What happened to that persona that day?
Oh, it was stripped away from me. Like taking candy from a baby, I would say. Do you know what I mean? Simple.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just, I was quite an angry person. I'll be really honest. Like, I was quite an angry person my whole life, and
Yeah.
I'm not still like, I still have a little bit of it there, But I was quite an angry person, and the way I look at it now with the power of hindsight is, I was a peacock, Like,
Mm.
I couldn't actually do anything, but I would, because I would puff my chest and I would be loud and proud and stuff like that. But I didn't actually feel that way at all,
Mm.
And it was a great way. Like, I'll always be very thankful to the guy who I rolled with on that day, because he really brought that to the surface, where it was like, I already knew I was pretending to be something I wasn't,
Mhm.
but I hadn't really accepted that I was pretending to be something I wasn't. I deep down knew, but I didn't really. Like, was subconsciously I knew. Very quickly after that, consciously I knew.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu has this magical thing about just pulling shit right to the surface. There is
Mm.
no hiding. It was like, you aren't this guy. You need to stop getting out of your car at traffic lights because somebody cut you off and shouting at people through the windows. You need to stop being this aggressive, angry asshole. And I make it sound like that was a quick process, like it happened in a second. It didn't. It's happened over 2 years. But like, yeah. So that's pretty much it. Like, and every day I'm battling with that. Like every day you still have that little bit, but every day that little bit more gets crushed and crushed and crushed.
Yeah.
And you bring out this, what I can only feel like is who I actually am, like the real me.
It really becomes, I know jujitsu, but it's like we talk so often about jujitsu, the way of life, and like jujitsu is just such a wonderful metaphor for life itself, no matter what. Like I coming from as an entrepreneur, like just this challenge as a man, and it's very much like the cartoon sort of depiction, like of the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder, and which are you going to allow dominate? I think of the story of, I think it was Mark Devine, the ex Navy SEAL. He refers to this ancient old Navajo story from the Navajo tribe in North America, where this little kid in the village, he's talking with one of the elder ladies, and the elder lady is talking about this. We have two wolves inside of us, and one wolf is sort of expansive, it's light, it's hope, it's positivity, it's love, it's infinite potentiality. And the other wolf is mean, it's angry. And I think of your story as that anger, is that sort of dark side that sort of just brings it overshadows. It's always trying to overshadow the light. And the little boy just asked the elders, like, oh, well, Nana, which wolf wins? The one you feed the most. And I sort of, that emerges for me now, just hearing your story about jujitsu and this constant sort of a battle. How talk to us, just bring us a bit in. I know at that point you sort of you had that fork in the road ahead of you. Either just go, be that persona, be that guy, be the peacock, and just keep going in the persona that, wherever that was to take you. But you obviously took this different path. You made that definite decision, and cut off that other reality. Talk to us about just like those formative months, your engagement, how intensely you engaged, what those first 4, 5, 6 months were about for you experientially.
Yeah, so like you said, I made the decision that I was going to do it. And for anyone who knows me in my life, I've never stuck at anything, ever, absolutely ever. And because of this crossroads that I came to in my life, even just before I went to the first class, I had decided to go and do this. And then I was there. I was like, no, I'm gonna do it regardless of how I actually feel about it. I'm just gonna go down this road. And like I said, I was all in. For my first, I would say, for my first 6 months, I was literally there 5 days a week, twice a day.
Wow.
Getting a lunchtime class, getting the evening class, or if the work schedule was different, I'd go and get the 6:30 a.m. class and get the lunchtime class or the evening class. Like for any, like in SPG in T24 with Paddy, there's quite a large timetable, so there's a lot of availability.
Mm-hmm.
So I was making it happen. I was going to these sessions. I was going to these sessions twice a day. I loved it. Now, saying you love it, because it's funny now, because the last time I told this story, I was a different person. But saying you loved it, like I did love it, but at the same time, there was a lot of days at the end where I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. My body hurts. I'm getting killed. It's not fun. I don't want to go back. I feel humiliated. I feel this. I feel that. And I always made a conscious effort that when I felt like I didn't want to go back, I went to the 6:30 a.m. class the next day.
Mm.
So I didn't wait. I didn't give myself time to tell myself this fucking stupid story about how I could do something else. Because in my life, I've always done that. I've given myself time. I go, I'll give it a few days, see how I feel. And then, you know yourself, your brain starts making up this big, long story. So I was all in. First 6 months going in, and I literally, when I say I was getting smashed and getting killed, I don't want it to sound like anyone was being bad to me. That's just literally the experience. It's like being underwater. I was sinking. I was drowning. And after, I think it was a month and a half, 2 months, there was this competition coming up, and I was like, I'm going to do it. everyone was like, "Oh, are you gonna? Who's gonna do the competition?" And the bit of that peacock came out. I was like, "Oh, I'm here. I'll do it." And everyone, like, people looking at me going, "You're like 6 weeks in, dude." So I went and I asked Paddy. I said, "Paddy, like, what is it that you need to know before you go to a competition?" And he said this simple thing to me, and it stuck with me ever since. And I've continued to say this to people when they ask me: "Is like, you need to know when to tap." And like, that was it. There was no special technique you needed to know. You didn't need to have a good half guard game. You didn't need to know full guard. You didn't need to have top pressure. You didn't need to know anything. You needed to recognize when you were in danger and how not to get yourself hurt so you could go back to training after the competition. So I was like, yeah, deadly. I went in. I texted all my mates, all the lads from Ballybrack. I was like, I'm going to be doing what I was calling a fight at the time. It was in the National Indoor Arena in Blanche. We went in. It was a big day. Everyone from the club, there was loads of people from the club there. I was super excited, super nervous, had all this anxiety and fear and didn't really know what it was. And the time came for my match, I got called on the mat, and the guy was like 2 foot taller than me. I was like, what the hell is going on? And the ref starts it, we engage, and like I want to say I took him down. That's not what happened. We engage and we end up on the ground because I had no conscious idea of what was actually happening. We end up on the ground and I end up inside his full guard. And I was given 2 points for what's called a takedown for this. And then the match stayed there for the next 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Like, literally nothing happened. I was like holding him on the floor and he was trying to do stuff and everyone's like, this guy's stalling, this guy's not doing that. And then the ref is like, man, you have to do more than this. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. Anyway, I ended up getting the win and I'm like, woo, I won my first match. And I went in all cocky to the second match. Straight away, I was like, I've got this shit. I know what's going on. Yeah, I won my first match ever in jiu-jitsu after 6 weeks. Next match, clap hands. The guy grabs me and he sits down. So he pulls guard. At the time, when I'm talking to you now, I'm describing how I felt at the time. He just sat on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yes. I got this. He's already on the floor. Next thing you know, he grabs my leg, pulls my leg in, and does what's called a straight foot lock. I didn't recognize this position. I didn't really understand what was happening. And I just feel this excruciating pain, and I yelp, I scream. Like I literally scream. And the ref stops it and your man wins. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I lost. That's just when you think you know something and you go up here, jiu-jitsu has this wonderful, wonderful, magical power of bringing you right back down to reality very, very quickly. The third match, because you get into your the loser bracket where you're going for third place, was actually against a guy from the gym that I train in.
Oh, wonderful.
And yeah, and he was doing jiu-jitsu, I think, like a couple of weeks longer than me or around the same time. So, and we had interactions in the gym, but I didn't really know anybody yet. So I didn't have any feelings towards this dude. And we jump in and we're going and we're going and we're going. And there's like 15 seconds left. And I look at the scoreboard and I couldn't describe to you what I had done to get here because I didn't actually understand. Looking back on it now, I know, but for the sake of the story, I'll tell you how it was. I didn't really know, and it was like 10-2 to me. Wow. I'm like, I am shit hot at this. And I was on his back. So for anyone that does jits, this back control is quite important. I was on his back. But he done like a weird arm bar Kimura lock for where he pulled my grip down and done. Anyway, he put me in this lock that I didn't understand. I was starting to feel pain in my elbow, and I look at the clock and there's 3 seconds left, and I'm like, I'm gonna win. And then I'm like, tap. No, I'm not. I had to tap. Like I could feel my arm was about to break, and we both jump up. We give each other a hug, and the ref holds his hand up, and we walk over. And Paddy says, both of you have learned a really valuable lesson here today. He says to the other guy, he goes, you learned that you can be losing. Everything can be going against you. And when you stick at it, you can still come out on top. And that's not just for jiu-jitsu, that's life. Shit can just be going down the fucking hill. and if you just stick at it, you'll persevere. And Colm, and he looked at me, and I'm like, oh, what's he going to say here? And he goes, you learned that when everything's going really well, don't ever fucking take it for granted, and don't think that you don't have to still apply effort for things to continue going the way they are.
Mm.
And that's also a lesson for life. And I was like, wow. And that was the first competition. That was it, There was no medals, there was no trophy, there was no glory, there was no tears, there was no nothing. There was just this valuable, valuable piece of advice from Paddy that has stuck with me since.
Mm.
You know?
Talk about the competitions you're experiencing in competitions after that, because obviously within a very short period of time, the penny dropped in a very, very significant way within you, or
Yeah.
many pennies dropped. The jigs all came together, definitely in a level of how to compete. And I think that's the part of me that I'm curious now, and I just want to sort of tap into that mindset, like your approach, what you learned, what are the most significant things you've learned from the likes of Paddy, from those experiences that allowed you to progress and expand in such a short period of time to such a pretty spectacular level of success within, it was white belt, but it's still a very, very competitive field. I know I'm a white belt now. It's like any belt, I imagine any belt you go at, it's competitive, because it's just,
Yeah.
you're at the right level. There's somebody coming to try and kill you. Like you always sort of say that, it's like somebody's trying to kill you, try to kill you, try to break your arm, choke you unconscious. So it's a highly competitive field, no matter what the level.
Yeah.
Talk us through that rapid growth column of what you learned. What were the main learnings for you that developed this highly astute competitive mindset?
So I think it was just at the beginning, like I said, I just decided I was going to say yes to these things. So I done the first class, I kept coming back, I done the first competition, and like my training in the gym wasn't going what I would have considered well. I wasn't ever winning rounds. You're not really supposed to think of it like that, but at the time when you're a white belt, I don't give a shit what anybody says. People are trying to fucking win rounds in training.
Yeah.
They can say, oh no, I'm in it for the experience. No, people are trying to win. I wasn't winning rounds. I was spending most of my time getting literally like beaten up by people smaller than me, people weaker than me, people less athletic than me, girls smaller than me, 25 kilos lighter than me, literally handling me all the time. But every time the next competition came up, I just went, put the money down, signed up, and I went. And like I think it was my third competition before I actually had any kind of what you might call success. But what I was noticing was when I was going to competitions, I was starting to do well at them, which wasn't a reflection on how my training was going. And something, it kind of clicked with me. It was like, the people I'm training with are doing me in so bad that when I go here, it's not as difficult.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going against these guys that aren't doing it that much longer than me in the gym, some of them, and then other guys that are doing it much longer than me, and then other guys who are much, much higher level. And I'm losing. I don't think I'm learning anything. And then I go to a competition and I'm able to apply the techniques that I'm learning quite, I don't want to say easily because it wasn't easy, but it felt like it was coming to me easy. It's like in my first 6 months, I started in September 2017, and then I think it was March 12th, 2018 was the Irish Open, the first one that came along. And I had a bit of success in competitions before that, as in I would go and I would get like first place in one bracket and lose in another, or get a bronze or whatever. Didn't really care. I was always very happy about it, but at the time, like, I was kind of always made aware of what the success at white belt. It's not about being the best white belt. It's about being the best jiu-jitsu practitioner,
Yeah.
But so the Irish Open came around, and it was on around the 6 month mark, and I decided I was going to do it. people in the gym were like, "Oh man, you should do it," and I'm like, "Yeah, I should fucking do it. Why not? You know, I've been going. Things are going relatively good for me in competition." I said I'll go, and I went in. I had 5 matches that day in the gi, and I won 4 of them. My first match I won on points, but I won the next 4 matches by submission. And it was the same submission, funny enough, that this guy fucked me up with on my very first day, a head and arm choke. And I have to give big credit to Andy White, who's one of the coaches at SBG for that day, because as the second match was coming along, I end up getting the guy to the ground. I get on top, I get mount, I get in a good position, and I'm trying to finish what I think is a head and arm, but looking back on now, it's probably like a fucking disaster. And all I hear is, I look over at Andy, and all I hear and see him saying is like, "Look into his ear," and I'm like, turn my head, and I feel the tap, and I'm like, this is the first time I've tapped anyone in competition. And I feel this energy, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know. And I didn't really have a competition mindset at this time because I wasn't in the groove or anything like that. But I had this feeling. I was like, oh yeah. Third match comes along. It's like the quarterfinals. Same thing. End up taking the guy down, getting on top, getting to mount, getting into this head and arm position, and all I'm thinking about is looking in this motherfucker's ear. Look into his ear when I get the squeeze, and I'm like, I get the tap. I'm like, boom, semi-finals, boom, same thing. Finals, I go against this guy, and it's so hard to take him down. We're fighting. He's after being killing everybody the whole way up as well.
Mhm.
And I can't really remember how the match went. I know I ended up in mount. I know I ended up with the arm tucked up. I know I ended up in that position with my head in his armpit. And I start looking into his ear, and I can't finish it. And it's not. And then I hear Andy shouting. He's like, "Put your forehead on the mat now, look in his ear." And I do it, and I feel the tap, and I'm like, oh my God. My hands don't go up. I don't celebrate. I don't feel like relief or anything, or excitement or anything like that. I just feel right. Just feels good. Everything felt perfect. I'm like, oh my God, I'm after winning the Irish Open Masters 1 fucking white belt weight division, whatever way you want to call it. Like, in the big picture, it means nothing, but for me, in terms of competition going forward, it was very much so the beginning of the competition kind of mindset. Because when I stood up, I get a little bit emotional, man, thinking about it, because it's actually, when I stood up afterwards, the only thing I could think about is I didn't want to ever be anywhere else than where I was standing right there. And that was where I was supposed to be. And it wasn't because I won, or it wasn't because I submitted them, or it wasn't because that. I don't know how to explain it. I just felt like I belonged for the first time ever in my entire life at the age of 30.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the mindset I've always taken with me going forward. Just what I still have it quite fresh now as I bring it to the front of my mind. The mindset going forward has never been, I'm going to fuck this guy up. I know more than this dude. They don't stand a chance. I've always just said this one thing to myself. I know that they don't want to be here as much as I do. That was it. And I've taken that going forward. And I've got fucked up in competition since then. I've got bashed. I've got submitted. I've been, things haven't gone my way. But I know this. And people are probably going to listen and go, no, man, you don't want to be there as much as me, or whatever. I can't explain it. I don't know how to put it for anyone to ever understand this. But that is the only thing I know. I don't know how to do the perfect armbar. I don't know how to do the perfect knee slice. I don't know the perfect anything. But I do know one thing. If we're both standing on the mat, looking at each other before the match starts, I want to be there more.
Yeah.
Not at the end winning, but just
Hmm.
that moment, because that's for me.
Yeah. Yeah. What comes up for me is like when I think of Conor McGregor, and just listen to motivational, all the YouTube motivational talk speeches that's out there. There's so many of them. But it's like one key thing that McGregor will that I've noticed that McGregor says time and time and time again in them is, you know, I work the hardest. I work the hard, like there's nobody else that's going to work harder at his game, harder at the art of fighting, of combat than he does, at the art of his meditation movement. It is his meditation. Nobody works harder. Which to a point, put on my coaching cap, I put on my scientist hat. It's like, on one level, how the fuck do you know? And like some people can come at it from there, but it doesn't actually matter. I just feel, and
Exactly.
just feeling your energy there. It's like it's just a point of conviction. It
Yeah.
does not matter. The opinions of 7 billion other people, like whatever 100,000, the other guy in the mat, it does not matter. It's just that inner level of, was it 70 trillion cells in your body? If you're convinced you want to be there more, that's all that matters.
Like, I'm sure there's people out there that train more hours than me and put in like what like I'm sure I'm sure there are people who out there train more and may put in more work and stuff like that. But it really just comes down to that one sentence: is like, I still know that they don't want to be there the way I want to be there,
Mm,
because nobody could feel the way I feel about this. I
mm,
don't believe that. Like I don't know why. I can't explain why, and it's not a cockiness thing, and it doesn't come from a place of confidence. It doesn't come from a place of like superiority. It comes from a place of, I never felt like I wanted to be anywhere before in my life.
mm.
30 years in, having tried many different sports and having tried many different jobs, and I think one day I counted how many different actual jobs I've had in my life. I've had like 37 jobs, man. You know, like I've been in so many different environments. There's that environment. It's mine. I love
Mm,
it. Like like I'm obsessed with it.
mm, mm.
I'm obsessed with that feeling of just standing on the competition mat and just going, the bills don't fucking matter right now. The shit going on, the rent doesn't matter. The fact that I've had to change job again, the fact that I'm moving from this place to that, the fact that my relationships don't fucking work, the fact that all these things are going on, and I'm not special. Everybody has these things, but for those moments, nothing else matters.
Mm,
Nothing, nothing in the whole world. Nothing. Like, you think of something that matters to somebody, it doesn't matter to me when I'm there in that moment. And
mm.
that's what I take going forward. And that's why I just keep doing it, you know? And I just keep doing it. You know, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I just keep doing it. I think it
And
was like after I had, yeah, go ahead.
no, sorry, I was just the word belonging when you said that, and it just I'm tapping into my own experience within jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu tends to have, from what I've been listening to people online saying about it, from world champions to, guys fresh to the path first couple of years, like ourselves and that, it just, Brazilian jiu-jitsu tends to have this thing that it helps men and women, kids, just feel that sense of belonging. I know you've done, I believe, like boxing before, you've done other sports before, but what is it that's so unique about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for you, Colm, that creates this sense of belonging?
So I just want to preface this with the fact that when I'm talking about what I think, it's coming from the perspective of a guy that's doing it for less than 2 years, and in the grand scheme of picture, in the grand picture of things, probably knows nothing about it. So for anyone listening, I don't want people to think it's like I'm this amazing high level black belt competitor that knows everything, because I don't. But
Mm,
from my perspective and my point of view is like, there's a weird thing when you're on the mats with people and you're bringing someone very close to death, and then you let them go, or they bring you very close to death, as in not being able to breathe, and then they let you go,
Mm.
and it's very difficult not to create a bond with somebody. I would say you would have to consciously make an effort to dislike somebody on the mats in the training room, because how can you dislike somebody when like you're essentially like touching off of each other the entire time? You know, you're like in each other's personal space. You're in each other's like in each other's face, like all over each other. Like, you know,
Mm.
like, the words are popping into my head. I'm debating whether to say them or not. Like, it's really like a fucking relationship. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like
Yeah.
hard to not create a bond with these people. So I think that's one of the really really important things. But then I've also gone to other gyms that don't have that. So I don't think it's just a magical thing about the martial arts. I think it definitely comes down to a lot got to do with the culture of the gym, and that's something that I always say to whenever I'm chatting with like I chat with Joey quite a bit, when Joey Breslin, when we'd be driving him down to the seminars and stuff like that to teach for us. I'd quite often say is like, I'm pretty sure one of the biggest reasons why I stuck at it the way I did was because of the culture in SBG
Mm.
D24. I say D24 because I don't know the other ones. I don't know. I'm not saying anything about anybody. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that place in particular just it made it very easy for me to want to keep doing it. You
Mm.
know, um, yeah, like it's it's hard. I always struggle for words to explain that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's only up as far like on in terms of the story. We're only as far as like 6 months in Irish Open. Like, you know, I struggle to I struggle to explain why it felt like that, but it does, and it's very very clear when you're in that gym. It's crystal fucking clear for anybody that goes there. I'm telling you, I haven't spoke to every single person in that gym. I don't know what's in everybody's head. I don't pretend to know. But one thing I can most certainly guarantee is that they all feel like it's their fucking living room,
Mm.
like
Mm.
their
Mm.
gaff. You walk
Mm.
in the door, there's bean bags and PlayStations and kids doing their homework. There's kids doing their fucking homework waiting for class to start, man. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's I'm gonna use this word, and people, I'll let them fucking say what they want, but it's magical. It's
Mm.
actually magical. Like, that's the only word, because I don't know, and I'm pretty sure it's a conscious decision. Like, you know, that comes from the top. Let's just make that perfectly fucking clear. That comes from the top. That comes from a dude, Paddy Houlihan, who decided to make a place where a community. He calls it a community within a community, a place for
Mm.
people to come together. It's not about, like, I think, like, you know, probably in the entire gym there's probably like 25, 30 people out of hundreds of members at this stage that are on that journey of of greatness, of world champion, of this kind of thing. But like the big picture really is that it's a place where you can go, where nothing can nothing can follow you in the door.
Yeah.
There's this magical force field. You step through the door, and everything just gets left behind. And you don't even have to do it. You don't have to make the extras yourself to do it. It happens.
Mm.
It's like, if
Mm-hmm.
you ever watch, this is gonna be a little bit geeky now, but if you ever watch like Stargate SG-1 years ago, there was like they'd be walking through these like alien platforms, and it would automatically disarm everybody. You know, it wasn't like you chose to leave your weapons behind; they just got left behind. And to change the word weapon to like shit in life, hard
Yeah.
things, difficult things, they just get left behind. And he's made a magical place, and
Mm.
I love him for that, because he
Mm.
started my journey.
Yeah.
He
And like,
started it, and he's
and
gonna forever get credit, forever, ever, 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 ever. I will always give him credit for starting that.
yeah, it's such a powerful thing to bring into it, because I do resonate with that, like with that word. I use that word, you know, in conversations. I talk about love, and like I think it's such a powerful thing to take ownership of that. But there is that depth to this path, to this experience. Like I think of the two coaches I've been blessed to have, and now there's third with Joey. Like there's Francesco Severini, obviously he kicked off myself and Matilda's journey in jiu-jitsu. I've spoken to you just about the depth of connection, and like, you know, we will expand into the conversation about your role starting as a coach, but you're a second coach, and then Joey just as the black belt. And there is there's a bond of love and a bond of respect and a bond, because there's just such, it's like they open doors. Your coach opens doors into new aspects of your existence, new aspects of life, of your reality, new elements of blind spots that you never knew freaking existed. You never knew that level of capacity, of courage, of confidence, of belief in yourself existed. And the coach, through gifting you, and what I love, I've spoke to you before, is, you know, a coach that gives so much. And effectively what they're gifting, for me, the unique thing is they're gifting ways to you into how to kill them. And, you know, I think this has been a particular thing. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but, you know, you've entered into coaching. Yeah, well, I think we just jump in there in the coaching element. I'm curious to know about your experience, you know, spontaneously, very early on in your days of your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu journey at Longford. You know, Francesco, the coach there, has done such an amazing job for several years in running Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Longford. He had a certain life, career, family circumstances that wasn't allowing him to commit all in as he wanted to on a continued basis. So the opportunity arose for you to kickstart your coaching experience on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu path. Talk to me about that. You know, like what was it that kicked off within you to go, yeah, let's do this? And what have been the challenges, the early challenges, because we're only talking about sort of 6 or 7 months into this journey as a coach. What have you learned? What has come up for you since that has started, Colm?
So first thing, I really fucking struggle with you using the word coach, and you know I always combat you on this. Like, I really struggle with that word because I definitely don't feel like a coach. That's probably something that I'm working on myself. Like, I'm literally showing the guys what I've been shown, and it's obviously all second and third hand. That details get lost. I just want to preface this: details get lost along the way, and I don't claim to be anything that I'm not in terms of in jiu-jitsu knowing something, and I just show the stuff that I know and that works for me,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of build and we learn together. But something that I've kind of been trying to think about in my head rather than the word coach is change facilitator. You know, because I don't feel like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach, but I definitely feel like I'm offering people a platform to change.
Okay.
So call that what you will. And that's only something I've been really going with recently in my head is a professional change facilitator. Sounds good, huh? Might get that on the t-shirt. I'm still working out those kinks in my head, but yeah. Like, I mean, look, I'm still, until September, I'm still not even 2 years in this game. And anyone that knows a blue belt is a glorified white belt that knows nothing, you know, realistically. I'm still a fucking baby. But what I do is I still try to use my circle of people who I know who know more than me, and I try to bring them. Like, I've obviously invited Joey down a couple of times, who would be Joey Breslin, black belt up in SPGD 24. I've invited him down a couple of times to teach things, and conversations with him. He always puts us like, man, as long as you're not telling people that you're fucking something that you're not, and they all know what they're buying into and what they know, they're coming to the class and they're paying for a blue belt who's a new blue belt who's less than 2 years in to teach them something that he knows. That's cool. Nobody in the community is going to have a problem with it. And, you know, why I would have a problem with it then? You know, and this is me talking about myself, because in my head I've had a big problem with it. I'm like, fuck, I can't. What the fuck am I like? Do you know what I mean? Like, who the hell am I to show anyone anything? Like, I this big imposter syndrome, like, on the mats. I remember like the first time I was asked to do anything on the mats in terms of showing something to someone was when Francesco was still coaching. He needed to go take a piss. He was like, "Colm, do you mind to do the warm up?" I had been doing personal training and coaching people in that kind of thing, and I had experience with being in front of groups of people and trying to command some level of attention in a room and how to warm up somebody's body regardless of what they're about to do, as in get them moving. And I still was thinking, who the fuck am I to ask these guys to run around these mats? Who the fuck am I to say when I say one, touch the floor with your left hand? Like, I went through all of this, and it's a great. I'm just gonna bring it a little bit back because it's a great way to look at jiu-jitsu in general, is because I think I read a post there the other day, like from Tom the Blast. It's like something that you need to realize is that most days in jiu-jitsu you're gonna leave feeling like you know nothing,
Hmm.
and it's all right, man. Do you know what I mean? So, like, most days when I'm on the mats, I feel like I know nothing. But when I'm showing something to somebody, I'm just showing things that I have used that have been effective for me against other people of my level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. And I just getting a little bit lost in my thoughts here and trying to keep it linear. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
that's all we're doing now in Longford is I'm just opening a door at a certain time of day and telling people if they want to come down here and learn some techniques that I use that have worked for me from a guy who's only new to the game, they are more than welcome to come. And people seem to keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
People seem to keep coming down. And I don't believe for a second that people are showing up every day because it's like, oh my God, that thing I learned is fucking shit hot and amazing. Like I said, we're just offering them a place to come and leave all the shit at the door, man.
Yeah.
And we're creating something incredible there, like,
We've spoke about that because obviously, being club mates, and I've had the wonderful privilege and just the fantastic experience. I call you like a best friend at this point. Just always talking. Like, I mean, we get to the end of training, and I think every time, like, I have this semi intention because I'm doing my coaching course, and getting off to bed at night at the right time is sort of ultra important. I have to take mark of it, and I have this intention. Okay, tonight, like 10 minutes after training, I'll be in the car, kids in the car, Matilda in the car, let's get home. But and then it's like we look at the clock and there's an hour gone. And we've just been talking about like the club, the culture, stuff that's happening on the mat, like where we're going, and it's such a beautiful experience that, to be honest, like I think I just jokingly set that intention, and just like it's the one intention I'm comfortable with just letting slide. Um, but for those listening in that aren't, wonderful members of this growing club that we have, that haven't experienced that, it's just to set that there has been a slow, steady, significant growth from, quite a small band of guys that over the last 5 6 months, it just tends to be attracting these new people, and they tend to be staying. They're not new in, try once and off they go. It's like new in, and then it's like they're turning up more than everybody else. There's obviously something unique and special going on at the core of the culture. What's the most important element of that? Like, if you're talking with somebody from another club or somebody that's starting up a club, and how would you synthesize or crystallize that effect, Colm?
Well, I'm going to say this first, right, before I answer that question, because for anyone who's ever tried to show a technique to other people, the person who you're doing the technique on, usually after you've shown it a few times to the group, you have to grab another person, do it on them so they can see it. I don't know how many classes at the start I showed up to where it was me and one other person, that I have to do the technique on him and try explain to the person I'm doing it to what's happening and teach them without being actually able to show them. It's quite a weird way of trying to teach them. I found it quite difficult. And just to put it in perspective of how good things are going, is like last night we had like 12 people on Sunday, on people's day of spending time with their family and people's day of rest from work and people's day of going, fuck that, I'm going to the pub, or I'm not doing that today because I deserve a break. We had like 5, 6 people on the mat. The previous Sunday we had the same. The previous Sunday we had like 20 people for when Joey was down. All last week and the week before and the week before that, we've had consistently more than 10 people on the mats. And there's probably clubs out there that have 200 people and they haven't got enough mats and they've got different floors in the gym and they've got separate rooms and they're thinking 10 people, woo, well done. All I'm thinking about is, man, I remember trying to show the technique to the fucking dude and then trying to teach it. And it's like, and then the next night you'd have 3 people and the next night you would have 2 and then you would have 4 and then you'd have 7 and then you would have 2 again. And, now it's getting much more consistent. And I don't quite know. I think it's more a subconscious thing. I don't know why it's getting more consistent. Well, I do. Fuck that. Do you know what? Fuck that. I do know. I'm lying there. I was actually just gonna try to be modest. Like modesty is fucking mediocrity. I like we're creating something super fucking. I'm gonna go for this now because we're creating something super fucking amazing and incredible and the numbers don't lie. And so you can say the feelings and this and that, the other, but if you look at empirical data and evidence for anything in the entire world, when you're trying to measure something, we measure things through empirical data. The numbers don't lie. We have more people showing up than ever. We have more people coming back than ever. We have more people buying the gi than ever. And that, for anyone who does jiu-jitsu, they know that that's the commitment. If you don't go in and do a beginner course where there's a price and it includes the gi, usually you end up being some dude that's standing on the mat. Most people are in the gi and you're in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and you're kind of like, and then maybe you get a gi, maybe you don't, and maybe you stay, maybe you don't, and then you make that commitment of spending that 50 or 60 or whatever amount of euros it is, and then you kind of know when you got them then. You're like, for anyone who doesn't know, gi, kimono, the uniform you wear, So we're getting more and more and things like that. Like there's one guy in the gym, and I don't know if everyone noticed this, but I noticed it. Enda, he's been coming with his friend intermittently. Like so Daniel would show up like consistently Mondays and Thursdays for training, and then like every second or third week or every fourth or fifth session, his friend would come with him. And I was starting to get familiar with him, and he was starting to pick up some things. And the other day, he's out. He comes in just like normal. Everyone's getting changed. There's still some guys that don't have the uniform. There's some guys that do, and for whatever reasons they are, And he opens his bag, and I just look over, and he pulls out this fucking shiny, brand spanking new King's kimono. And I'm not going to pretend to know what was going on in his head, but I saw it, and I just went, well, look at fucking you. You know what I mean? And his smile pinned from one ear to the other. Because when I said that, and I saw his reaction, I saw what I saw in me, and what I've seen in other people when they buy their first ski. It's that, like, I'm in.
It properly does. It properly does change, because I remember going for months, and I've shared with you before. Part of my transition in from going from physiotherapy a couple of years ago, where business, I pretty much had it set and sorted. I was grand financially, okay. I chopped like brutal precision from literally one Sunday when I declared to Matilda, it's like, I'm never going to practice as a physiotherapist again. I'm going to feel like the freest man alive. And I went at life coaching. Now, it has taken, a couple of years to sort of figure that shit out. Like, how do you actually, it's okay to be a good coach, but how do you make money from that? So in that process of learning, my first, like a lot of my early, I've been in jiu-jitsu about 18 months now, but there's been a long period of time where money was a major issue. Like, we were just getting by. We had bought our new house. We've 8 horses. We had a lot of shit going on in our lives to investing into my training, coaching, training as well. So buying the gi was actually, it was always sort of this thing of, is it really essential now? Is it really essential now? We had like just food on the table, paying the house, petrol in the car. And I remember this thing of petrol in the car, like food on the table, tomorrow, the next day, or petrol in the car going to jiu-jitsu tonight. I remember just, there were lots of moments like that, but it was always like, yeah, let's just get petrol in the car. Let's just put it in the car. Let's get in the mats, because we knew intuitively, we just knew. It's like, we get in the mats, life's going good. We consistently get on the mats with that level of intention. We just make that a non-negotiable. Good shit's going to happen in our lives. And I remember just bring it back to the gi when I signed up a guy long-term contract. It was a big win for me, and I was like, okay, I don't care about where else money has to go. We have to pay off bills because we've been making sacrifices to make our life, our extraordinary life, happen. It was like, this money that comes in, there was two things I wanted to get. I wanted to get 4 training mats for at home, pop down my mats so I could do morning sort of my own solo drills.
Jeez, well, that's a big commitment there. Matt's at home already. Woo, love
Mats
it.
at home. And I'm getting my own gi. But the change, when you talk about Enda, you talk about Fern, the change, just putting on my own gi. And I borrowed Francesco's gi for a while, and like he gave it like with a heart and a half, and it was wonderful. But having bought my own gi, it's like the level of intentionality that is packed into that one act. It's not a simple act. It's like you transition from, I'm a sort of a maybe, I'm sort of liking this, to I've got my gi. You tie your belt. It's not somebody else's belt. It's your belt. You're going to have that belt until the point, you're not going to change that belt until the point at which, depending on your commitment and your intentions, till you get the next color belt. That's your belt. And it changed everything. And I do remember like the looks of guys on the mat. It was like the same bright smiles, because everybody knows that has went through that, what that means.
Everybody, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
There's 4 levels of commitment to anything, and there's 4 things that you do when you're committing something. Like, you're committing financially, you're committing time wise, you're committing your energy, and then you're committing what and I'm taking this from a talk that I listened to with Pat from Pat Dibley, is like you're committing your finances, your time, your energy, as in being present, not just being there, but actually focusing on being there. And then a little bit of faith. Little bit of faith. You got to commit that little bit of going, right, the guys that I'm coming into, like, they know, and I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna just commit myself to them a little bit, and that's it. Like, and that's one of the big steps is getting a gi. Now, for anyone listening who wants to start jiu-jitsu, you don't fucking need one, man. You don't need one. You don't need to get one. You don't need to go out and spend an extortionate amount of money to come and do a class. All you need to do a class is rock down to your local gym. And they say you need nothing. I like to say bring a fucking bottle of water, because you're most likely gonna need a bottle of water. But so you don't need it, but you can always see that kind of level of commitment when people do get one, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is, So just in terms of that, yeah.
No, sorry, go on, carry on. You were about to go on a slide there. Go for it.
Like, I'm just saying, like, in terms of what's happening in our gym, is like you see these guys now, and they're getting their gi, and they're showing up, and they're not just coming intermittently, they're there consistently. And then you see guys like showing up with their second and third gi, and then they go from the entry level gi to like these more expensive ones, and you just see this guy getting in, and then all of a sudden you're on the YouTube and you're like fucking absorbed into all the techniques and stuff like that. So like what we're and like I just want to say, like, again, like what we're creating there is like my intention isn't, because I fell into and I'm doing air quotes, so don't give out to me, I say coaching. I fell into that.
That's very American.
I
quote unquote.
I didn't my intention was never ever to coach jiu-jitsu. It was never something that I had even considered or thought about, or running a club, or any of those things. Like, I just fell into that. So all that I'm trying to do, and I'm only recently putting this into words, like, like you're always, when we're talking, like your words are so powerful, and you have like your identity that you relate to no matter what, and that's you go to that for your anchor, for your like your to hold
Mm,
you when you things are like that. So my one thing that I'm trying to do, suppose it's two things, is offer the people that place, that safe environment to come and train. You
mm.
don't need to be athletic. You don't need to be this. You don't need to be that. If your body moves, you can come down and you can enjoy it, and we can show you things there for a guy that doesn't have a fucking clue how to move, you know? And only very recently I'm using this line, and I'm going to credit it to someone because at the last competition I done, I had great success at it. I was my first blue belt competition. It was the IBJJF Dublin International Open, or no, IBJJF Nationals. It was at blue belt. I had great success at it, and I put up a post, and I just wanted to say thank you very much to Paddy Houlihan for starting my journey.
Mm,
And he
mhm,
sent me a private message, and he said, "Let's start 1,000 more."
mm.
And I've coined it. It's mine now. Sorry, Paddy. It's mine now.
Yeah.
So, I give him the credit for it. Like I didn't come up with the line, but that's all it is.
Yeah.
I just want to start 1,000 journeys. I want to give people an opportunity to feel how I feel and do what I do and go through what I've gone through and experience the change that I felt. And if every day people are walking off the mat smiling, and if I'm like, I don't want to say I'm making people smile because I don't believe it's me, but I'm offering people, I'm facilitating people to smile, and a smile can change a lot, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Smile can change a lot.
I
The
love it.
world is a mirror. The world is a
Um,
mirror, and if you smile to it, it'll smile back at you. So
Beautiful. Colin, I can't let this beautiful interview end without, because I just actually actively reminding myself in the moment, it's New Earth Kings, and the king archetype. We've had wonderful mastermind conversations about the king archetype. What is the king archetype about? And a major part of the king archetype, and just like if I'm using a unusual term, as an unusual alien term to me up until half a year ago, archetype is like a part of our psyche. The male psyche, there's four key archetypes, but the king archetype is one, which is like a thought patterns, a way of looking at the world that is sort of etched into our DNA. It's there. If it's not, if it doesn't seem to be fully present, it's been suppressed, but it's there. So every single guy has these four archetypes: the king, magician, lover, uh,
the warrior.
warrior.
Sorry,
I no, thank you very
you've
much. It
taught
was
me so well. You've taught me so
You've told
well.
me it was a test for you, sir. You've passed with flying colors. um, so like the four archetypes, but the archetype of king is that visionary aspect of us. And like guys that have been teaching about the archetypes for years, for decades, what they sort of what the world's experts in it would say is that in modern culture, the archetype of king, that visionary, that intuitive, just inner knowing. I think that inner knowing, that when you just said that, you just knew you belonged. That time when you won the match, it wasn't about the winning. There's just an inner knowing. It's the king archetype, but it's the king archetype that's suppressed the most. So before, like, I just want to shift into the final phase of this incredible interview and draw upon that unapologetic, not giving a flying shit about any opinion in the world, king that's inside Colm Curley. You know, you've come such a long way in a short period of time. There's this amazing experience that's happening at Longford BJJ. There's a unique, wonderful, like magical thing that is happening. Unapologetically project into like the 5-10 year, well, let's go 10 years, let's go crazy. Where do you see this vision leading to? Where does this, when successfully 1,000 journeys have started, through you, through myself, through Matilda, through all the other wonderful guys that just makes up that incredible unit, where do you see this journey expanding to? And let's go crazy.
Oof. So before I dive right into that, I just want to say, like, for anyone that's like listening to us there, and they're wondering about like the new Earth Kings and the king archetype and stuff like that, is like, I've given this a lot of thought, a lot, and jiu-jitsu does this thing like we've spoke about, that when you're on the mat, it's an involuntary thing. It just naturally happens. It starts to make these changes, and it starts on the mat, and it starts to expand out into the world, into your life, your universe. But what you've done, and this is just a big credit, I'm just going to throw it in there right now, is like, what you've done and what's happening with myself and you and our conversations is, it's jiu-jitsu of the psyche off the mats.
Mm.
And instead of just my world expanding from on the mats outwards, imagine this bubble growing from the mats of jiu-jitsu, yeah, into my life. I have these two bubbles growing now. I have one that's growing with you every time we have a conversation, and I have this one over here on the mats every time I'm doing any sort of jiu-jitsu, and they're both expanding. So one has expanded off the mats, jiu-jitsu, and the other one has expanded onto it, and they've both connected in this magical way. And it's basically just like blown my fucking mind, and it's just expanded everything so much faster. I've just sped up the process of knowing myself and becoming in touch with my archetypes and in touch with my king way faster than I imagine it would have gone. Now, I can't say how it would have gone if we didn't do it the way I done it, because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I just imagine that if you have one bubble over here growing, trying to fill up the world, and you start another one over here trying to fill up the world, at one point they're going to expand, and you do it twice as fast. And that is in one long sentence exactly what's happening with me. So in terms of like the vision for the club and my vision and unapologetically, and I say that because, man, like, we were only talking about it the other day, like, it's like, so many times whenever I talk about something with people in the past and when I was younger and all the way growing up, like, I get this idea in my head, and the idea would never be the root, the seed. The idea would always be the fully grown tree. And whenever I would talk to people, I hope this is making sense now. I'm trying to put it linear in my head. But whenever I would, the idea would always be whatever it was. I won't give you any specific examples. It would always be like a fully grown tree with all the leaves, all the branches already there. And I would talk to people about it. And they'd be like, Jesus, man, come back a little bit, will you? Come back a little bit. Like, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? How are you going to do that? Like, you haven't thought about this, and this. And it was only the other day, myself and you were talking after jiu-jitsu, and Matilda was there as well. And you're just like, that's what a visionary is. A visionary doesn't see the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 1,475,000 step. It sees the big fucking picture. And then you said to me, is like, just got to start. And once you know where you're trying to get to, the rest of it will work its fucking self out. It's none of your business. Not in your business. None of my own business how we get there.
Yeah.
Not up to me. Not up to me how we get there.
It's just up to the life,
we know where we're going.
The universe to sort of flow. Like I heard one metaphor of a guy saying it, which I just love the most. It's like the universe is ready to give you everything you could possibly ever imagine. Literally, everything you can imagine here. It's just ready. It's ready. It's like a tsunami. It's like a dam. It's ready to give it to you. But you've got to lead the dance.
Yeah.
It won't dance.
Yeah.
It won't dance for you. It won't take you by the hands and go, fucking, let's start flinging you, spinning you around, doing whatever twirl, salsa, whatever the dance is. It won't do it for you. It can't do it for you. It doesn't want to do it for you. It won't take the pleasure of you leading your own dance. There'd be no pleasure if God, universe, life force just fucking did the shit. Like, we thought of it, boom, there it is. Like, where is the pleasure? But it's once you lead the dance, the universe just provides everything for it. So in that context, and I love, thank you so much for just opening up the mind, because it's mindset again. It's just, so many people listening in. Well, every person listening in has an incredible goal, an incredible vision. Like just I see it in conversations with guys. I'm sort of happy enough. I'm doing this and do that. But like if you just slow a conversation down enough, there is a fully grown oak tree there. They mightn't have thought about it since they were 8, since they were 16, since they were 4, whatever. There is, or there's several of them there. So, you've given key insight to what it is to actually, you don't have to be talking just about the seeds. You can unapologetically go at the fully grown oak and just fucking let it fill in as you go along. That's a wonderful thing. That's an important part of the king archetype, unleashed, not suppressed, fully free. So, what is that fully grown oak tree? Let's say just playfully 10-year, I don't know, 10-year, 5-year, 20-year, whatever the shit. What at this point in time, what is that fully grown, magnificent oak tree, unapologetically, complete freedom to just like blank canvas, paint a masterpiece? What is that for you, Colm?
So like, and I'm gonna fucking be unapologetic about this. And I've said it. I used to, I would struggle with, like, I have struggled in the past, and it's probably a lot got to do with being pulled back on certain things. But I'm just gonna go with it right now for you.
Brilliant.
I see in Longford BJJ, I see this club now. I might be fucking 90 when this happens. I might be 100 years old. I don't know when. It's not my business to know when or how, but I know what. I see Longford BJJ being a destination for people. So let's say, for example, you've got the really well-known clubs, the big, heavy hitting clubs in this country. You've got like Atlantic Jiu-Jitsu and Sligo. You've got East Coast in Dublin. You've got SBG in Dublin. Don't take offense if I didn't name your club, guys. There's loads. There's places in Cork. There's places all over the country. But you've got these big, heavy hitting clubs that have these big names, and when you get world renowned professors visiting in Ireland, I'm pretty certain they're being told, or they know, you're in Ireland, man, make sure you go to X, make sure you go to Y, make sure you go there. Don't go to Ireland without going there.
Mm-hmm.
At the club you have to visit. You got to be there. I honest to God, and you fuckers can hate me for saying this, you can think what you want, because I actually don't care, we're going to be top of that list. That's what I see. I see Tom the Blast making a visit to Ireland in whatever amount of time, doesn't matter when, and him knowing that I can't go all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to Ireland without coming down to Longford BJJ. That's the place to be. That's a place. That's an amazing thing that they've created. We need to be there. I just see these big names and these great. I don't want to just say big names because of fame, but these great minds. Because if you notice that most of these guys who are great minds in jiu-jitsu aren't just great minds in jiu-jitsu, they're great minds.
Yeah.
That they want to be in Longford BJJ. And then there's this other picture, and they go right beside, hand in hand together. And I said this to you before, and I'll say it again. I see you, I see Matilda, your wife, I see you giving your grandkids their black belt, man. I see you giving, like, I see that. Like, I don't see you. I don't see the second stripe on the blue, or I don't see the first huge success in the competition. Like, that's all the bits in between. Like, I see you giving your grandkids their black belt. I see the guys that are with us now being the head instructors in our fucking 2-story huge warehouse gym where we're doing jiu-jitsu, and where we have thousands of people coming every day to get that experience that I spoke about at the start, and that experience that I've gone through. I see that. I see kids that are the kids that are there now, we didn't mention it, but like we also have like classes for between 7 and 12-year-olds, like, you know, and it's like a little bit of like gymnastics and fun and little submissions in there, and it's like, you know, playful jiu-jitsu, you might call it. Um, like I see them talking the way I'm talking in 20 years. I see that, like, it's, oh man, it's so hard to get it out of my head into a picture frame to show you.
Mm.
But all I'll say is I promise you that you will all see it. You'll see the picture. I'll get it in that fucking frame. You will see it. I'm working on it. It's coming out. I'm all in. I'm committed. It's my life. It's where my journey's going.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
on my path and on my journey and on my road to the end of my life, to, you know, till I'm put back into the ground, is like, I'm gonna facilitate as much change for people. I'm gonna make as many people smile. I'm gonna offer people a safe place to go to. I am going to continue to do this, and that's gonna be my legacy. You know, I never really before this part of my life have ever thought about. It's like, people are gonna remember my name. I'm gonna be fucking this. I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be the best fireman in the world. I'm gonna be the best fucking footballer in the world. I'm gonna play basketball for in the NBA. Whatever the fuck I used to think when I was younger, and I'd have all
Mm.
these things in my head. Is like, I never ever knew what it was gonna be. I didn't know. I had the things popping into my head, but one thing that I'm sure about, one thing that I am certain, without any fucking doubt, any inhibition, unapologetically, people can challenge it all they want. People can laugh. People can say I don't have a clue. People can say what the fuck they want, because realistically, man, I spent too much of my life caring what other
Mm.
people think.
Mm.
I do not fucking care. And I
Mm.
say that, I'm sorry for swearing, but I say it, and I want people to see, and I'm staring at this camera right now. It's like, my legacy, when I'm going into the ground, when it all comes, when I'm on my deathbed and people are at, and, you know, I'm at the pearly gates and they say, what would you have done different? And what we all this story, my legacy is going to be, well, man, I made thousands of people smile. I gave
Mm.
thousands of people an opportunity to grow. I gave thousands of people, and, you know, so I'm not even using the word jujitsu there. Like, you
Mm.
know, it's like I gave thousands of people an opportunity to feel better, thousands of people an opportunity to escape. Maybe they have a shit time at home. Maybe they have a shit fucking time in their relationship. I'm not going to pretend to know the reasons. Maybe they have a hard time in work. Maybe they're not happy. Maybe they were like
Mm.
me. Maybe they weren't.
Mm.
Maybe they're super happy. Still the place for you. But maybe they were
Mhm.
like me and they hated their life. Hated it.
Mm.
Hated it, man. I fucking hated it. I
Mm.
didn't like anything about it. I didn't like anything about where it was going. Like, I am going to be offering those people. I'm going to be offering that. I'm going to have made those, starting, let's start with, like, you know, we say 10 journeys have already started, 15 journeys have already started. I'm using the 1,000 journeys because I haven't spoke with Paddy, but very soon that won't be the goal. The goal will be 10,000 journeys,
Mhm.
20,000,
Mhm.
50,000. Like, if one person today listens to this, so I'm shaking, man, I'm so
Go with it.
emotional right now. It's like, if one person today listens to this and they don't even do jiu-jitsu, or they don't even know where fucking Longford is, but they're smiling, dude, my job's done. My job is fucking done.
It's
If
one more
one person laugh, one more journey, fuck, exactly, sorry, I'm not going to
one more
rob that, you
journey.
say, yeah, one more journey
Mm.
started. You know,
Mm.
one more journey down the road of happiness and enjoying your life. And, you know, yeah, life has pain and so and suffering in it, and there's hard times and stuff like that, but a good chunk of it can be really good. Good
Absolutely.
chunk of it can be really good, man. And
Wonderful.
that's it. Like,
Colm, I think we did the old thing. It's like we I I wanted to aim this for the moon and we hit the stars, sort of a thing. And there's that old thing that so I just want to acknowledge and thank you for your courage, vulnerability, power to just step into your king for pretty much the whole entire conversation. Um, it's an honor and privilege just looking on. I say this in my coaching, I say this with any human being. I have goosebumps, like just hair standing up whenever I hear a human being that just takes ownership of their vision, takes ownership unapologetically. And you've done that with extraordinary effect here. Thank you for that. So for the likes of, Nick Gregoriades, Tom DeBlas, or Heather
The names go on.
Crazy,
Yeah.
if and when these guys see this interview, how do they contact you? And also other beautiful guys with maybe more humble BJJ heritage just yet in their background. How do guys reach out to you? How do they find you? How do they contact you and just connect in with you?
Well, like first, the easiest thing, like the world we live in now, social media. Like we've got a Facebook, we've got an Instagram. If you're not sure, just drop a message. I'll get back to you. I'll have a chat with you. I have guys that drop a message and we're kind of chatting, and I just ask them, just give me the phone number, because I don't ever feel like I can portray the message through text. I feel like the tone gets lost when it's just text. So drop the phone number to me. I'll give you a ring if you're worried, if you're uncertain, and that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You through Facebook, through Instagram.
What are the specific names of those pages, just to make sure?
Longford BJJ Facebook, or Colm_Curley Instagram, or Colm Curley Facebook. You'll find it there, and hit me up with a message. And like I'm gonna just, because the problem with you, Mark, is that when I fucking start talking with you, I don't want to stop. Do you know what I mean? And I can see the time in the top corner of the call, and I'm like, we've been talking for ages, and it doesn't feel like ages. It feels like 5 seconds. Like time just loses all meaning when I'm chatting with you. But like, two things I want to say is, you said that you wanted to aim for the moon and you feel like we've hit the stars. And there's two types of people that are going to be listening to this. I think that the first type of person is going to listen to this, and they are going to relate 100 million% with what has been said. And they are going to go, yes, I see the stars. I don't know how I'm getting up there, but I see it. And then there's other people that are going to be looking at me, and they're going to be thinking about it, and they're going to be listening to what I say, and all they're seeing is the tip of my finger, but I'm pointing at the stars. They're not going to see it. You're going to have those two mindsets. So, like there's those two types of people, is like that they're gonna see it, and some people won't really be sure, and they won't really know, and they're just kind of looking at the tip of the iceberg. Is like, just jump in, man, just go with the flow, just fucking say yes. That's all I did. It's all I did at the start. There was nothing special. I'm not like you've told me so many times, I'm not fucking unique, man. I'm not a special person. Like we all go through shit, like, but I just started saying yes. Just started saying yes to this world and to this life, and it's just unfucking folding in front of me, like, and come join us. Join us.
Say yes, and you're living in the stars. Because it's like that thing earlier on. Conor McGregor says he works the hardest. You say it means more to you than the other guys. It doesn't matter. You say you live in the stars, you're in the stars. And from my perspective, I'm looking at a man living in the stars. And I thank you for that. It's an infinite pleasure to have you in my life, to have had you on as my first guest. Is one of the most sacred things. This is me starting one of my journeys, which is this podcast idea. It's going to come on, but like, if I can just re-encapsulate this type of energy, this type of courage, just on camera, this is going to be fucking spectacular, and sending this out into the world. So thank you for that, Colm. Absolutely legendary, sir. We shall see you on the mats very, very soon. Maybe even later on today.
Absolutely, Mark. And I just want to say really quickly, is like a super thank you to all the guys who do come down to the gym and train with us, because you might think that you're learning something from me, but I'm learning way more from you guys. Way more every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Colm Curley, thank you, sir. Wonderful. To those of you looking on at home, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll chat to you again soon. Colm, take care. Bye, guys.
Peace out.